Okay, just got back from 2 car camping trips, 2,600 miles, 6 days. One down to the Smokies with my daughter and the dog back home. Second one down to the Ozarks, all through Missouri, southwest Missouri, and back home. Got back yesterday with my son and the dog. Dog behaved great. Kids were pretty good. Bugs weren't bad. It wasn't too cold. Really, pretty much perfect weather all around, in my opinion. Couldn't ask for any better. No car problems. Just fantastic. Some days I drove, 800 miles. Some days I drove 300 miles. Whatever. Just had a great time. I'm going to go through the gear I took. I kind of did a video of what I was going to take. I used just about everything I took. I'm going to try and talk fast because I'm going to go into a little bit of detail in some items that I feel strongly about and how it worked. So here we go. The food box that contains some kitchen supplies as well as all the weekly food. Only went out to eat 4 times, which may seem like a lot, but to me isn't. I went to Subway 3 times. And I went to an IHOP once. Other than that, I made my own food that we brought with us. That saved some money. The kids, of course, had the McDonald's and KFC every once in a while when I was going to Subway. But I'm just trying to watch what I eat, not taking a lot of preserved or processed foods, very little fast foods. Subway, to me, I don't put any sauce on it or salt or whatever. Had the oven grilled chicken. I'm sure there's some salt in there, but I'm just trying to watch what I eat as far as that goes. I'm not going all organic and natural. But in the food box we have some canned goods, and canned fruit and stuff like that I do use some of that stuff. Got the single burner propane stove and the paper towels, and so that's kind of the weekly food box. Here's the daily food bag with snacks. It's just a reusable garbage bag, and I'm not going to go through everything that's in there, but I would put in all the snacks and daily stuff in there. One thing that I did notice is I have some, plastic garbage bags. These are just kind you get from Walmart or the grocery store or whatever. And use these for your garbage bags, both in the Smokies, Kentucky, Missouri, especially down at Great Smoky Mountain National Park. They want you to, control your food and your waste, your garbage. So 2 a day I used, and I would just put one out in the morning on these hooks. They have these posts with hooks to keep the raccoons away, I guess. Doesn't do anything for the bears. But put your garbage bag out there once in the morning, and then when you're done with breakfast, brunch, take it back up to the dumpster, and then you have to put your food back in your car. That's the rule there. They don't have bare boxes where they make you put your food in, but you do have to keep your food in your car if you have a car, which of course we did. So that worked out really well. The other thing that I'll mention is I got some of these little, they're called freezer bags, and what they are is little freezer liner bags. Reynolds makes them or something. You put your food inside of here and then put it inside a Ziploc bag. Well, what I use these for is doggy pickup bags. So I always keep a couple of these in my pocket. They're thin, they're small, they compact nicely. You can tie them off and then put them in the dumpster when you're done. So I always got one of those in my pocket. So this is the daily food bag. That's the weekly food box. This thing worked out really great. This 4-liter Sea to Summit Pack Tap, it's called. I hung that up from the hook. Took a little shower with that one day. Worked fantastic. Put our water in there. It's got a little spigot. This is another reusable garbage bag, or reusable shopping bag right here from Walmart. This had all the dog stuff. And what we do with that is we got the dog food in there, the dog bowls, the leash, some treats, the bones, all that kind of stuff. Is we refill 3 of these 16-ounce water bottles and keep them in here, and then when we stop at a wayside or even when we're in the car, we can let the dog drink and just pour that in there, and it's all set. I have to worry about finding water, and we don't use the bottled water. We just refill them up for the dog when we get to the wayside. So that worked great. Of course, I got my 1-quart Nalgene here for myself that I always keep with me or on my pack. We used this Hartz Ultra Guard flea and tick powder for dogs. We did not get any ticks. I'm really surprised. So we did use this. You rub that on the dog. It's supposed to be about every 7 days, so we rubbed it on twice, and it kind of kills the ticks. I don't know why we didn't get any ticks. We were in the bush. We weren't bushwhacking, but we did that. Another thing with the food. Here's a cutting mat just cut up. When you are cutting your food and your material, this is lightweight. You don't want to keep all those juices on the picnic tables, you know, it attracts animals and stuff. So I cut it on a little mat like this and wash it off. Here's the little fire grate I used, very small. So depending on which fire pit we were using, again, we were at established campsites, no electricity, but they all had fire pit and a picnic table. I would just use this little grill right here. So that worked out real well. Outer clothing, I took this jacket liner as well as my wool shirts. When it gets down to 50, 60 degrees at night, nice to put something on. In the morning, it's nice to have something. I mean, it wasn't summer, it's not hot yet. So took those two, those worked well. Pretty much tried to keep this 3.5 gallon water jug filled up, because when you pull into a campsite, you want to have to be looking for water. So I kept that filled up. This is the cooler we use, this 18 quart, I think it is. I've had it for use. This is all I need. All this gear fit in 25 cubic feet. Basically a spot 5 feet by 2 feet by 2.5 feet. And that's all it took for me to go for a week. I mean, obviously it's not bushcrafting, ultralight camping, probably weighs 200-300 pounds. But, you know, again, this is my little, you know, Wagons West type kit. So in here I put some ice on the bottom, put my frozen meat, so I got my steaks and my hamburger, sirloin, whatever, and then I'll put my non-frozen stuff in a plastic bag on top of that and throw some ice on top of that. When I start out, my meat is frozen. That keeps for about 1.5 days in this weather. And then usually the second day or the second night, then I'll buy a bag of ice and throw some in the bottom and throw some on top, keep it in the plastic bag on top so we can use it for drinks if we want, throw half the bag out, because this doesn't take that much. But it doesn't take that much room either. I mean, I can put it different places. I can haul it. It's got a nice strap, so I can haul it to the site or do a fixed site. Worked fantastic. I've had that thing forever. Chairs, camp chairs. This is the big camp chair that my daughter used. I took that as well as these 2 tripod stools. I like this thing. She used 1-foot footrest. I use this thing. Nice thing I find about this is, you know, I'm always working on whittling or shaving my feather sticks or sharpening my knife or playing around. If the fire starts to switch directions, the smoke switch direction, I just move that baby around the fire. I have no problem. Everybody else is like, smoke, smoke, and they're all, you know, and I'm just like, yeah, no problem, move it around. So that's me, my style. Some reading material. Picked up a Missouri Life hiking out in Missouri. That was kind of cool to watch that or read that. Backwoodsman took. Picked up this called The New Pioneer. Really a lot of good information in here on self-reliance and homesteading. $10 are a little expensive. I use a clipboard, put my Google Maps on there. I eat on there in the car, you know, that's just what I do. Atlas. Use this compact type road atlas, mid-size it's called. You know, it has the whole country on it. Good thing about it is it's small, of course. It's not the big bulky one. Bad thing about it is it lacks a little bit of detail. It doesn't have every major city, but the major cities it has is in the back. Only shows the state highways, U.S. highways, and interstates. Does not show the county roads, so that's a hassle. I got a GPS, a handheld GPS. You know, that worked okay. You know, if I want to get my exact position. 1 gallon Ziploc bags. Get a thing of 1 gallon Ziploc bags. And one thing I didn't show you in all my food, you know, and I've got things like potatoes and macaroni and cheese and you know, noodles and whatever, snacks, peanuts, licorice, whatever, is whenever you open something up, you know, it goes bad, some natural potato chips, I just put it in a Ziploc bag when I'm done. So got a bunch of those in there. So that's that setup. Going over here, I'm not going to go through in detail all this, but you know, I use my 5x7 all-weather grabber blanket as a kind of a bivvy, as a ground bivvy. Used the 5x7 urethane Bushcraft USA tarp to make a little rain shelter a couple times. I got some stills of that. Leather gloves. If you're working around, now these are thin leather gloves. These aren't work leather gloves. They're like calfskin thin. If you're working around a fire, I don't know how you can go without leather gloves. If I'm going to be cooking over a fire, even if I'm through hiking, I'm taking some kind of pair of leather gloves. My cook kit, I'm not going to show you all my pots and pans. You've seen that on a number of videos. 6-inch Paderno baking pan, the 2-quart aluminum pan, my Glacier stainless steel cup, my spices. That's all I used. Didn't take the Dutch oven, didn't go crazy. Bandana, got 3 or 4 of those. Enough said about that. You know, it's all in there. A little watch cap gets down to 50, 60 degrees. Sun goes down, I put that baby on, I sleep with that baby on. My toolkit, you've seen what's in here, my Esbit stove for the morning tea, my toolkit that has my open all folding saw and my U-Dig-It stainless steel trowel. You notice I don't have an E-tool, you notice I don't have an axe, I don't have a hatchet. You know, those are things I didn't take. Compromises just to keep things compact. My daughter used this, and son used this little enamel cup, $4. Put that on the fire, no problem. My Bahco buck saw blade, 24-inch blade with my homemade buck saw. That thing worked fantastic. You buy firewood at those campgrounds, which you have to, of course. You can't bring your own firewood in, so you got to buy it in the county that the campground exists, or whatever the rules are. In the Smokies, they gave you basically balsa wood for $4 1/4. That stuff was soft pine. I scavenged what wood I can. I get wood, and it's usually no bigger thick than this, and split it with my BK2. I don't bring the hatchet or the axe. I just don't feel comfortable using those, especially at night, and you know, you're kind of hurried. But I do cut it up with my folding buck saw. That worked fantastic. Can't say enough about that. 2 trekking poles. Didn't really use those for hiking, but I do use those to help set up the shelters. I have some still shots of how I set up a shelter on a picnic table with that. My Frost Summit basic pack. You've seen what's in there. You know, that went on all the day trips with me. Phoenix LD20 with the headband. That's fantastic. Use the ultimate lithium batteries in there. You know, just give a little political commentary here. Went to Walmart to get you know, an extra set of ultimate lithium batteries, of course, now because they're used in meth labs in crack or whatever the heck. You got to get, you know, behind the counter and show ID or whatever. Couldn't believe that. That was in Missouri. It's the way it is, the way of the world. Anyhow, the USGI shelter half made an alcove to my tent for that, and did use the heater a couple of times, just, you know, when we went to bed to keep, you know, get the chill out of the tent, and not on the nylon, of course. A couple of aluminum stakes, no problem there. The REI half dome tent, that's just a 2-person tent. I'm pretty happy with that. The mosquito netting is showing some signs of stress. I'm a little disappointed in that. Might have to do something with REI about that. But what I didn't take was my big, stand-up 6-foot tent. I just throw that baby up. It's self-standing. It goes up in 5 minutes. Takes down in 5 minutes. Use a 4x6 all-weather grabber blanket for the ground cloth, you know, because soil is rocky. Sometimes those established campsites are actually pitching it on stones. So if you care about your tent floor, make sure you have some kind of heavy-duty tent. Again, these are established campsites, and you have to pretty much put your tent where they say. Not always. All right, back over here to ground sleeping mats. This is what my son used and my daughter used. Closed self. What we did was put a 5x7 all-weather grabber blanket inside the tent. Yes, it caused a little bit of condensation and moisture, but we had the dog in the tent. Just help save your tent floor. So I got one underneath and one on top in the tent. They put the blue pad underneath them, and then this old Thermarest on top of that. So that kept them off of the damp ground. It's important for your kids to be comfortable when they're camping. My daughter's a teenager. Bugs weren't bad. Weather was pretty good, but you know, you want to be comfortable when they're sleeping. I just use this Thermarest Ridge Rest with a couple of closed cell foam pads, one for my hip area, one for my shoulder area. So those are just little pieces of 12 by 12 inch cut up closed cell foam pad. The dog, again, the dog is 8 months old. You've seen pictures of it. Wool blanket. She loved it. When we were outside at night, I used a different blanket. When it was in the tent, I just used this wool blanket, and in the car. I don't want the dog eating on the blanket. So I have 2 blankets. One is more of a pad for the ground, and when she's eating, and you know, if we give her the scraps and stuff like that. And then this one is basically for in the tent. You know, again, you want to bring the bugs in with you. We didn't have any problems with ticks, but to have 2 blankets if you're car camping for your dog, one for outside and one for inside. It seems silly, but why chance all that stuff? The 2 packs, we put our sleeping bags in there and our extra clothes and our gear. These are big, of course. Both these packs, they're the JanSport Big Bear series, 78 liter, 82 liter. You don't need these. These packs are designed for through hiking, but the nice thing about them is it keeps all your junk in one spot. I mean, you could use a duffel just as easily, but this is what we have. And you know, if we wanted to do a little more dispersed camping, we could put a bunch of junk in there and do dispersed camping. It's just the way I roll, you know. It's everybody's to their own. This is, you know, my opinion and what works for me. I use it, so it works for me. So that's the whole setup. I was pleased. No car problems, no problems whatsoever. The cost was relatively cheap. Just paid for the gas, paid for the campsites. Usually they were about 13 bucks a night, 15 bucks a night. One night we stayed in one that had water and electric, so that was 28 bucks. Again, no problems with animals, no problems with humans, no problems with the vehicle. Fantastic time. I'll do one more video, a short video of some of the detail of my what I'm calling my belt kit.